You're driving alone on a dark, stormy highway. The rain is so heavy you can barely see a few feet ahead. Then, out of nowhere, a figure stands frozen in the middle of the road. But it doesn't stop there. It's behind you in the mirror, and then, it's on the roof of your car. What would you do? This is a true story, or is it? It was a night that seemed to swallow sound. A storm like nothing he'd ever driven through roared across the countryside, turning the once familiar highway into a warped ribbon of black asphalt and shimmering reflections. Rain lashed at the windshield in sheets, and the wipers moved with frantic desperation, back and forth, trying to clear the view, but the water returned faster than they could erase it. Jason was driving alone. The headlights of his old sedan barely cut through the swirling downpour, and the only company was the low growl of the engine and the occasional flash of lightning that painted the world in stark, ghostly whites. He squinted against the rain, steering with both hands. His phone sat face down on the passenger seat, no signal. The nearest town was miles away, and the gas gauge hovered dangerously close to empty. But turning back wasn't an option. He had to make it through. As he rounded a bend on the deserted stretch of highway, his headlights froze on something, or someone, in the middle of the road. A figure. Motionless. Jason's heart skipped. His first instinct was to slam on the brakes, but something in him hesitated. The figure stood still, drenched by rain, face obscured, hands at its sides. It didn't move as he slowed. It didn't flinch, just stared. He gripped the steering wheel tighter. His palms were clammy, slick with sweat despite the chill. "What the hell?" he muttered. Lightning flashed again, brighter this time, illuminating the figure's outline. It was human, at least at first glance. A tall frame, soaked by rain, shoulders squared, face hidden by shadows. Jason's instincts screamed at him to swerve off the road, but the slick pavement and the darkness ahead made that an impossible option. He steadied his breathing and pressed the accelerator. As his car drew nearer, the figure remained perfectly still. Jason's eyes locked on it. He braced himself to pass by, but as he got closer, something strange happened. The figure moved. Or rather, it vanished. 1 second it stood directly in front of his headlights. The next it was gone. Jason's breath caught in his throat. He hit the brakes hard, tires screaming against the wet road. The sedan fishtailed slightly before coming to a stop a few yards from where the figure had stood. His eyes darted around the dark, rain-blurred emptiness. Nothing. His chest heaved, trying to catch up with the pounding of his heart. "It's a trick," he whispered to himself. A shadow. A branch. A reflection. But then, a glimmer of movement in the rearview mirror. Jason's eyes snapped up to it. There, in the small rectangle between him and the rear windshield, was the figure again. Closer this time. Its form was pressed near the glass, pale and indistinct against the black night, watching him with empty stillness. Jason's grip tightened until his knuckles turned white. He turned his head, blinking hard. The road behind him was empty. The mirror showed nothing but the dark highway and sheets of rain. The figure gone. His pulse surged. He exhaled slowly, trying to convince himself it had been a trick of the rain and the lights. He wiped his sweaty palms on his jeans and forced his gaze back on the road. But before he could steady himself, a sharp thud echoed above. Jason's head jerked upward. Something was on the roof. Something, someone. Lightning exploded again, and in that brief flash Jason saw it. The same figure. Now hunched atop his car, rain cascading off its dark coat, face still hidden, hands pressed flat on the roof. It stared down at him, unmoving. Its eyes, or what passed for eyes, were hollow pits that seemed to drink the light rather than reflect it. Jason froze. For a moment, time itself seemed to stall. The wipers froze mid-swing. The engine's hum seemed to dull. Even the rain seemed to fall slower, as if the world had bent around the horror above him. His breath hitched. His mouth opened but no sound came out. The figure didn't make a sound. It didn't flinch, didn't tremble, didn't scream or claw. It just stared. A voice inside his head screamed, "Drive. Mo. Get out." But his body wouldn't respond. Then, suddenly it was gone. The roof was empty. Jason's head snapped back down. The rain, the road, the night, all were as before. Had it been a hallucination? Sleep deprivation? Fear? He swallowed hard, forcing his hands back on the wheel. But then, from the corner of his eye, he saw it again. The figure was outside the passenger window. Close. So close that his breath fogged the glass. It stood rigid, staring inside with blank, black eyes. Jason slammed his eyes shut. When he opened them again, it was gone. His pulse raced uncontrollably. He could feel his heart hammering against his chest like a fist. "Drive," he whispered hoarsely. "Drive." With a burst of adrenaline, he stomped on the gas. The tires spat water and the car surged forward, fishtailing before finding traction again. He barely kept the vehicle on the road as lightning flashed repeatedly, throwing distorted shadows in every direction. Minutes or hours passed. The figure never reappeared. But Jason didn't stop. He drove through the storm until dawn cracked the horizon. The rain softened. The sky lightened. He reached the next town, a sleepy cluster of gas stations and diners, their neon signs flickering weakly against the fading storm. Jason pulled into a gas station, hands trembling. He stepped out into the pale morning air and touched his roof. It was wet as expected, but undisturbed. No handprints. No scratches. No evidence of weight. The clerk at the counter barely glanced up when Jason poured himself water and sat on a plastic chair, staring blankly at the door. He never told anyone what he had seen. At least not at first. 4 weeks after that night, sleep eluded him. Every time he closed his eyes, the hollow stare and the silent approach filled his mind. He avoided driving alone at night. He took longer routes in daylight. He pretended nothing had happened. But in the back of his mind, the question gnawed at him. Was it a ghost? A spirit? Some entity that fed on fear? Or something else entirely? He never saw it again. But every time he glanced in his rearview mirror, his heart skipped just enough to remind him it could return. What do you think Jason saw that night? Was it a ghost, some creature, or something even darker? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to know what you believe. And if you've ever had a terrifying experience on the road, share it with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more spine-chilling stories like this. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.